Zagazow, ziggazow, zagazow. Anyhow, bad man now pow. Zagazow, ziggazow, zagazow. Anyhow, be the man of my day you know. Zagazow, ziggazow, zagazow. Neptune make #1 tune, yeah. Zagazow, ziggazow, zaga, yeah, zagazow.
So let's get into your thoughts on goal setting. When you started, did you have an idea what you want to do? Did you have a goal? How did you come about creating that goal? What are your thoughts on goal setting?
I actually did not think about goal setting back when I was in my 20s. After I graduated from college, I just needed to work.
Right.
And one of the things that happened right after college is I got hired with a company called Nature's Classroom on the East Coast. And I've always worked with kids in summer camps as a camp counselor. And so they hired me over the phone after talking with me. I got on a plane and flew to the East Coast for my first time. Started working as an environmental education counselor, I guess, an environmental educator. And so what we would do is we would have a campsite and middle school students would spend a week at our campsite. We take them on hikes. We teach them about nature, different science and math principles. And I think this is less about me trying to set goals and more about me following opportunity. I used what I had in the past to get me this job that I had. I wanted to get a job, and so I joined that opportunity. I think that is what young folks really need to figure out, is how to recognize opportunity when it comes.
That's right.
Because sometimes folks, I don't want to take that intern position right now because I'm trying to have my own record label. Well, you're 20 years old. You can't have a record label. You don't even have a record. So people need to take the small steps. That opportunity comes, you jump on that, because that's going to lead to something else. It's going to introduce you to new people, introduce you to new experiences, introduce you to new ways of doing things in your area, and the opportunities start building.
Right. Perfect. So all of this leads us to where you are right now and what you're up to.
Right.
So if you could just kind of give us a little bit about where you are now, what you're up to, how we can help you.
That sounds good. Going back to something that you said about setting goals, it is important to set goals. You do follow those opportunities, and then those opportunities start making your path a little bit clearer. Once you start building those opportunities and you see what you really want to do in your life, that's when you say, okay, that's what I want to do. Now it's time to set a goal. So 1 year from now, I'm going to set a date. I'm going to set some kind of way to measure it. I'm going to set some reasonable action steps to get me to that goal. So 1 year from now, I want to be in this type of position, doing this type of work. Now I'm going to work backwards and put those small action steps that I'm going to need to do to get me there. And so I'm a big fan of setting goals, but I'm also a big fan of being very, very careful when I do set goals. I don't set all kinds of goals willy-nilly. I got one goal at a time, and I focus on that one goal. I may have to do some little things along the way to get there, but those are action steps to get me to the bigger goal. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes, sir. I think that's really interesting. You are putting a lot of weight and importance on making sure what that goal is.
Yes.
As opposed to just randomly picking something. You spend some time coming up with that goal, which is important in a lot of different ways, I think. In my personal opinion, because then you've invested some time in that goal, which is going to benefit you when there are struggles trying to reach that goal.
You know what? I don't remember if it was Stephen Covey or some other writer years ago, but there's this idea that so many people climb that ladder of success, and they're so busy climbing the ladder that when they get to the top, they realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. Right?
Right.
That's how I felt when I was an engineering major. I was trying to bust my butt trying to get these classes done and do what I need to do, but I was chasing the wrong major, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's why it's important to get very clear. Assess yourself. Assess what you like, what you want out of life. And then when you get clear about that, now you can start setting some goals, right?
That's right. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. That's going to make a difference for somebody. I'm 100% sure on that.
I'm hoping.
All right, cool. So now, what you have going right now?
Well, what I have going on right now, I love teaching, and I'm always going to be in the school environment. And so I'm a college professor by day. And the other thing that I'm doing outside of teaching is I'm writing and speaking.
Okay.
And I'm fine tuning what it is that I'm writing about and who my target audience is that I'm speaking to. Just this past May, this past Memorial Day weekend, I published my book right here, Joker the King.
Okay.
And this book here, right now, is my favorite book, and I might be biased.
Right.
But no, in all honesty, though, this book was a labor of love over the last few years. It was published just this past May, and in 25 days, the book hit #1 in 2 separate categories on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
And I'm excited about that because it means that there's a need for it, right? And
right.
so the book is called Joker the King, your 52-week initiation into manhood. And so what I'm doing here with this book is helping young guys learn what it takes to become men. You know,
Right.
you have a lot of folks in their 20s that don't realize they're adults or don't know how to become adults, don't know what it means, don't really know what it means to be a man. They're stuck being a guy. And so, you know, there are 52 weeks in a year, there are 52 cards in a deck, and that's where the title came from, Joker the King. Each week there's a new card. Ace of Spades corresponds with a certain lesson. 2 of Spades is another lesson. You know, the hearts are all of the relationship lessons you need to know. The diamonds are all of the resource and finance lessons you need to know. And so what it does is it takes guys through a week by week set of lessons so that at the end of the year, they're a lot closer to being that man that they want to be.
That's awesome, man. And you know what? I can speak to that book. We have taken some of the lessons and we use them. You know, when Lisa read your book, one of the things that she liked was the portion that talked about, how's it, Jack of all trades, but master of none?
Oh, right.
Right. And what your philosophy on that was that it's okay to be a jack of all trades and that it's super important for people to have something that they are skilled at. And so now Lisa has this big list of all these things that she wants to accomplish. So,
you know what? Actually, when I was talking with my younger brother, DJ. DJ is the one who was the inspiration behind this book. When you read the introduction, you read about his story, not my story. You know, his story being a 21-year-old trying to figure out what it means to be a man. He was the inspiration for this book. And one of the things that we used to talk about is exactly what you just said. You know, one of the things that we want a lot of young people to do is to develop some tangible talents. You know, sometimes you might ask a 21-year-old, so what is it that you're good at? Man, I'm good at spitting game to those girls. You know, I could talk to anybody. Well, okay, that's great. Okay, I need something tangible. What are you tangibly good at? Can you build a birdhouse? Can you fix cars? Can you play a musical instrument? And one of the reasons why it's important to develop a skill or a tangible talent is because those tangible talents are a lot easier to use in all kinds of other situations. You can make money off of them. You could build relationships off of them. They can get you networking opportunities. They can turn into side hustles. They can turn into businesses. They can turn into careers. And tangible talents actually develop you as a person as well, you know. Right. And so I'm with you 100%. That the idea of getting that skill, getting some kind of tangible skill is 100% important.
Yes, sir. I got my copy right here.
Ah, there you go.
That's what I'm talking about, boy. Ooh,
I love it.
Look at that. Yes, sir. All right, man. Well, you know, one of the last things I want to do is just talk about, you know, if you, let's say, Dr. Brown, you had someone who was in front of you right now, and they really want to do big things. I mean, their heart is in the right place. They are someone who's moving in the right direction, but they're really struggling right now.
Okay.
And they're on the verge of giving up and doing something different. What words of wisdom would you be able to give that person sitting in front of you? Something to inspire them, to keep them moving.
A lot of times people give up because either the task is too big or the task is too difficult, or they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They don't see the end. For somebody who is going to give up because of one of those reasons, the thing that I would say is, I mean, there's a whole lot of motivational, inspirational type things I could say, But I'm more of a practical person. Like, here, try this, try this, try this. And so my advice would be the person is probably trying to start too big. You take small steps. You can't start a business next week and hope to be a millionaire in 7 days. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. And people get frustrated or they get impatient because it's taking too long. The advice that I would give is to start small. All you need to do is 1% more than you did yesterday.
That's right.
Okay. And you keep that idea in your head. You take the small steps. For example, one of the things that I had to do in order to get this book done was I had to stop the procrastination. I had to actually give myself a deadline. And so what I would do is I would wake up in the morning before all my family members woke up, set the alarm clock for an hour earlier, and just type something. If I just had one page, that means I'm one page closer to getting the book done.
Right.
And I started the book about 3 years ago, actually, and I should have finished it years ago, and I just put it off because it was so big in my head.
Right.
And then I realized, no, you know what? Today, my only goal is to do one page. And so I would type one page, hit my goal, and I felt good for the rest of the day because I met that day's goal, right?
Right.
After 30 days, I had 30 pages, right? After 60 pages, I had 60 pages, and then boom, the book is done.
Right.
And we don't look at our action steps that way. We keep looking at these big tasks. It goes back to that old saying, how do you eat an elephant?
Yeah.
One bite at a time.
That's right. Or with a lot of salt and ketchup.
There you go.
No, you're right. That's right. One bite at a time.
I would tell that person to make that small step. Tomorrow morning, your only goal is just to wake up an hour earlier.
One of the segments I want to introduce is something called Little Things Talk. That's right. I know you might be wondering, why am I doing that? Because we're talking about big things, right?
Right.
But little things make up big things. So what I like to talk about is things like who's your inspiration, what is your preferred reading, your favorite quotes, things of that nature.
Okay.
And then some of the things that you are grateful for in your life. And it could be anything. I mean, it could be, I'm grateful because I woke up this morning and the sunrise was awesome. Something of that nature. Anything you're grateful for.
Okay.
So let's just kind of start out with, who is your inspiration in life?
So my first inspiration is my mother. She made sure that she did whatever it took with no excuses. That's the key. I'm inspired by people who can do what they need to do with no excuses.
Right.
And
that's right.
So having 2 kids and raising them by herself, that's no excuse. Working crazy hours in juvenile hall camp, no excuses.
Right.
Then deciding to go back and get her college degree while I was in middle school, high school, no excuses. And so I'm inspired by that. When my mother remarried, she got married to a former NFL player who was an awesome man, and he was a good role model as a man because he raised his own kids who were active in the church. Ministers. He was successful physically, spiritually. He was successful mentally. He had a good disposition, and he took care of the people around him. And so that right there, Reggie Lewis, he was my inspiration as a man. So those 2 right there are my biggest inspirations.
Cool, man. I don't think I really had an opportunity to meet Reggie.
Right.
But I met your mother.
Of course.
So, and I love her. She is incredible. She's been incredible to me, and I know what it took to bring up 2 boys in Los Angeles.
Exactly.
That is not an easy thing. So I can say that almost in some ways, the way that you spoke about her didn't really do justice to how much of an incredible person she is. So, and I'm not saying this just because I want her to make me dinner. All right.
She will appreciate that.
All right, cool. So, do you have a preferred book besides Joker the King? I definitely know that.
Actually, yeah. Years ago, I started reading a whole lot of self-help books and non-fiction books. I'm always on this kick of personal development, and I have some favorite books in the past. One of the first earlier books that I remember just really impacted me was actually How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And a lot of people get a little bit hesitant because of the title, but I tell you, there is something about that book that's on everybody's favorite lists.
That's right.
And the thing about it is, it's all about teaching you how to interact with other people, whether they're friends or coworkers or just a stranger in the coffee shop. The idea is it's a book about communication. It's a book about human interaction. And a lot of that changed the way I thought back when I was in my 20s and I first read that book.
Right.
I love that book. I love Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Those two were the first books that I read that really got me thinking about personal development.
Those are great books. I'm glad that you brought those up. Do you have a favorite quote? You know, something that you abide by or gets you through any given day?
I do. I use quotes a lot in my classroom. We have a quote of the day on the board every single day. And one of my favorites is by a writer years ago, John Shedd, S-H-E-D-D, John Shedd.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
He said once that a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for.
That's right.
You know, sometimes we stay in our comfort zone. It's easy and safe to stay in our comfort zone, but that's not what we were built for. You know,
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were made for big things. We really were. We were made to accomplish some big things on this planet, and we cannot accomplish these big things if we keep staying in small places. You know, we got to get out of our house. We got to turn off that TV or that. We got to get off the smartphone. We have to actually step out of that comfort zone and start taking a risk where it's a little bit more uncomfortable, but that's where your growth is. In fact, all growth happens outside of a person's comfort zone.
That's right. That's right. Beautiful, man. It's almost like you've been practicing this or something, man. That was pretty good.
Well, actually, the truth is, I say this stuff to my students. We have a part of the class when we're not talking about English and writing where we talk about how do you just be a successful person. You guys are 20, 21 years old, and no one's telling you all these things. So, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm Mr. Brown, and I'm going to drop these brown nuggets of wisdom on you.
There you go.
Exactly.
All right, cool. So how about just giving me something that you're grateful for? I believe gratitude is a key in people's success. It really changes your mindset. So I want people who watch this video, who come visit this channel, to understand some examples of what it's like to be grateful for something. And then maybe they can leave this video and start looking for those things themselves. So if you could just kind of give me an example, it could just be one thing, two things, whatever it is you're grateful for.
You know what? I'll give you two things. One, I'm really grateful for my family. I have two sons. I have one son who's in kindergarten and another one who's in the 7th grade. And raising two boys helps me really focus on what it means to be a man, to role model what being a man means for these future men. Because of them, you know, I got goals to do. I got goals to accomplish. I got things I'm planning for this family to make sure they're set. The other thing I'm grateful for, I'm a huge fan of having a good morning routine. Waking up and being in the right mindset to start the day.
Right.
You have a lot of people who use alarm clock. I use an alarm clock too. I wake up at 5 in the morning and I set the alarm clock. There's a comedian named Demetri Martin who I cannot shake this out of my head, but there's a lot of people who use the snooze button, right? Mm-hmm. And 10 minutes later they hit the snooze button and they do it again and again. And so this comedian, Demetri Martin, he says, look, hitting the snooze button is a very silly thing to do, because what you're saying is, I hate waking up in the morning so much that I'm going to do it over and over again every 10 minutes. Right?
Yeah.
And so, and the reason why I'm grateful for that, because once I heard that, it just got me thinking about how we start the day. Why in the world would somebody want to hit the snooze button and stay unconscious instead of being fully awake and starting this day, you know?
Right.
I mean, I'm grateful every time I wake up because I woke up and I get to start something brand new from scratch.
That's right.
I don't know if I went too far on a tangent, but that's what I'm grateful for right there.
Hey, tangents are good, man. We don't mind tangents. That means it is organic, right? speaking your mind. That's what we like.
That's exactly right.
That's what we do on doing big things.
Exactly.
I almost called it Big Things Talk.
That's what it
same
is.
thing.
That's what it is.
What it is. Yeah, it's Big Things Talk. What in the world am I doing? It's okay. I can edit that out, or I can keep it in, and it'll be funny.
There you go.
But look, man, I really want to thank you for taking your time to come and share with me and share with people what you're up to. This is my first video, so I appreciate your patience, because it hasn't been just let's sit down and hammer this out for a quick 25 minutes. We've been working on this for a long time.
Right.
And you'll see that we'll look back on this, and it'll be something that was great that kind of got us starting. And guess what? We're going to do it again one day, Dr. Brown, if you don't mind.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Is there anything you want to add, sir?
Yeah, let me add one more thing. If you want to reach me and you want to find out about the book or about what I'm doing now, about speaking opportunities, about anything that I'm doing, my name, robertdaylinbrown.com. So www.robertdaylinbrown.com. And Daylin is my middle name, Daylin. You go to that website, you can take a look at the book, you can take a look at the speaking topics that I speak on, you can even take a look at there's a Joker to King blog that goes with the book, and I write every week about different issues that men need to know, so you can see that from the website. Contact form, everything is on robertdaylinbrown.com.
Right on, man. Thanks for putting that in. I almost forgot that.
I'm not going to let you forget that one.
Okay, good. I like to hear that. But, so with that, I want to say, thank you for joining us here on Big Things Talk. And we are going to continue to make it a great day. Be easy.
All right.